Spear here with your DRF race of the day for Wednesday, December 6th. We're going to Tampa Bay for the race of the day. We're going to close out that Wednesday card. Race number 9 is a turf sprint, 5 furlong, 2X allowance, optional claiming tags of $32,000 are attached. Let's take a look at this field of 10 entered for the main body. There are 2 also eligibles, the 11 and the 12. Hoping for some scratches to get in. I think either one of them, if they got in, would be a long shot in this race. 10 in the main body, though. Pretty well-matched field here. I think there were a few different horses I think that you could make legit cases for in this race. The morning line favorite is number 5, Soul Hope, who is... just a horse who's 3-1 on the morning line. It's a horse who, more than anything else, and the first thing that will jump off the page when you get to her PPs is she is undefeated on turf so far in her career. They've sprinted this 4-year-old filly on turf 4 times in her career. She's won all 4 of those races. The first 3 were in claiming races. The most recent of those at Colonial off the layoff and a 3-life allowance for $16,000 tag. But she stepped up for her next start, won an entry-level allowance race, and in that entry-level allowance win, she earned an 84 Beyer speed figure, which is above par for a race like this. Her 2 most recent starts, 1 on synthetic, 1 on dirt. She's obviously not a dirt horse. She gets back to her preferred surface here. It looks to stay undefeated on the grass. The second choice on the morning line is number 9, Covenant Lady, who will be turning back to 5 furlongs in this race. Most recent start, 2 turns, a 2-turn mile at Horseshoe Indianapolis. 2 starts back, though. She also cut back from a 1 1/16 to 5 furlongs. She won very convincingly that day from just off the pace. So she can handle this kind of cutback. She's an interesting horse in here, certainly a pretty dangerous horse as well. We'll start out by taking a look at the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US sees this as being a fairly run race. They don't give an advantage to either front runners or closers. They do have the number 1 Miss Melody out on the early lead. That is certainly a possibility. I think we could see this filly bring her speed that she's been showing on dirt anyway over to the turf course here. She's run 18 times in her career. She's won 6 of those races. She's a pretty good horse on that surface, but she's never run on the turf before. Her game is speed. She does have the rail, assuming that she handles this switch to the turf here and is ready to go here off of an 111-day layoff. I suspect she'll be showing speed from the rail. And we'll just see, how well she handles the turf and whether or not she can take a step forward, because it feels like she's going to have to do that. The number 3, Noel's Angel, feels like that horse is going to bring speed here, shipping in from Canterbury. That's been the name of her game, speed on the grass. Her figures may be a little bit light, but she certainly handles this surface. She likes to be forward in her races. I suspect she'll come out of there running. The big advantage, I think, for the morning line favorite in this race, Soul Hope, is she can be forward for sure. She's wired a field in the past, but she's just very versatile. She's won on the lead. She's won from well off the pace. She's run from mid-pack. So she can get any kind of a trip in a race, and that's a pretty big advantage for her. We'll start out just going back to Miss Melody, real quickly, the number 1. She's 10-1 on the morning line here. Again, she's making her turf debut here. She's okay on the dirt. Won 1/3 of her starts so far. She likes to use her speed on that surface. It feels like the 5 furlong distance is going to be a good one for her, just considering her running style. It's all about whether you think she's going to handle turf. She's by McLean's Music. Those horses certainly handle the grass. There's not a ton of turf on the dam side. I believe the dam has 7 or 8 other foals besides Miss Melody. They're all pretty good. They all win races. Only one of them has won a turf race, though. Just not a ton of turf pedigree here. This is just a filly who's going to have to be better on turf than she is on dirt if she's going to beat this field, and that's even if she gets loose on the lead, which, I don't know, maybe that'll happen. I just felt like there was enough other speed in here to keep her occupied. The number 2, Lady Noy, 30-1 on the morning line. She's 3 for 29 in her career on turf, 3 for 38 overall. Has been running in some lower level races recently and not winning. They're going to step her up in class for this. She looks like a deserving long shot on this morning line here. The number 3 is Noel's Angel. We talked about her a little bit in the open. She's got plenty of speed. Her most recent start came in October, early October at Gulfstream Park. They just sort of switched over to the all-weather surface there just to see, I guess, how she would handle that. It didn't really work out that well. She did bring her speed into that race, but she just didn't really run that well and finished far back in that field in last. But her turf form prior to that is actually pretty good. It does feel like making the early lead, though, is really, really important to her. We'll go 2 starts back on her card right now. We'll take a look at the replay of her most recent turf race and her most recent win. This is back in mid-September at Canterbury. And listen, she's 30-1 in this race, but they wanted the lead with her. They rode her from the gate. They got to the lead in here, and she ran on pretty well here. The 1-2 favorite, who's going to wind up finishing 4th here as we come down the stretch, the 1-2 favorite, though, pushed this horse on the lead the entire way, and Noel's Angels put her away at the upper stretch, opened a cushion there. You saw the cushion she had past the 8th pole, still there past the 16th pole, and she's just going to hold on at the end. It's sort of a bunched up finish behind her. I don't know how strong that race was, but I won't knock what Noel's Angel did in there. She, used her speed very effectively, got the job done. 73 Beyer speed figure puts her close to what it's going to take to be competitive here. I feel like they're going with this horse. They're going to try to make the lead with her. And then we'll see, how far she can take this field if she winds up getting there. The number 4 is Moana's Power. 10-1 on the morning line. It kind of feels like a pretty fair price. The one drawback here, and it does feel like she's getting some class relief here. She's 2 for 26 in her career, and she's 1 for 12 on the grass. She just doesn't win very many races, but I feel like they've kind of been racing her sort of over her head, at least a little bit in some of her recent starts. She has a couple of finish behind Soul Hope, who's the morning line favorite in here at Colonial earlier this summer. She's got, a figure or two, though, particularly those 2 most recent turf starts at Colonial, going 5.5 furlongs. She earned figures in those races that would make her a contender in here. She's a very fair price on the morning line. She's another one who has speed, though. Listen, we'll see what kind of trip she can pull in this race. I don't love her in here. I do think you could make a case for her at 10-1 to at least use her somewhere at the finish in this race. The number 5 is Soul Hope. She's your morning line favorite. We touched on her already. Undefeated on the turf, can do it any way that you ask her to do it, on the lead, from just off the pace, from a little bit further back, which is what she did in her most recent victory, which is 3 starts back on her card, an entry-level allowance race. She's up in class for that race at Colonial Downs in the middle of August. Sat back off the pace, sort of midfield there, made a very game run through the stretch and got the job done in there. That was a good performance, and she's just improved incrementally with every turf start. It feels like this is really her surface. Since that win at Colonial, when she was up in class, she ran okay on the all-weather in her next start. They tried to leave her in a dirt race the last time we saw her at Keeneland on a sloppy track, and she didn't run well that day. She had her speed in there, but she couldn't make the lead. She finished last. I wouldn't hold that race against her. I guess she's the horse to beat. I don't know. I thought there were some other interesting horses in here, but she's pretty hard to knock just based on what she's done on the turf. The number 6 is Insatiable, another horse who just, to me, looks like a really strong contender in this race, and one who's a very fair price on the morning line at 5-1 for Greg Sacco. She's off a layoff here. We haven't seen her since the end of August 20th at Monmouth, and we can take a look at the replay of her winning this entry-level allowance race right now. This filly actually ran pretty well in here. They rated her from the start in this race. They sat on the outside the entire way, moved up very nicely. I thought 3-4 wider on the turn, got herself up into contention, took her a little bit wider at the top of the stretch, and you see the game finish that she's just putting in down the outside. She's going to surge late. She's going to get up. I thought she was best in this race. It's a really nice performance. This was on a little bit of a cutback too, which isn't always easy to do, dropping back from 1 mile to 5.5 furlongs. Just seems like the kind of 4-year-old filly. This is probably what she wants to do. It feels like sprinting on the grass is really her game. They did try to stretch her out last year as a 3-year-old when Pletcher took over. It didn't really work out. They've concentrated on shorter races with her this year, and it's really worked for her. Took a little bit of a nice step forward last time. I think she can do that again. And I like her running start for this race. I think there is a chance this pace gets a little bit competitive up front, and that will help Insatiable's chances. She's a very fair price in this race. The number 7 is Bahamian Moon, 10-1 on the morning line. Just another filly who I think will bring speed into this race. Her last 3 starts all came on the all-weather surface down at Gulfstream Park. She ran okay in the last 2 of those anyway to finish second both times. She certainly handles the turf. It's hard to say what her preferred surface is. She's run well on dirt. She's run well on turf. She's run well on the synthetic. So it doesn't really seem like it matters where they run her. I kind of feel like when you start really taking her PPs apart, maybe that all-weather surface that she's been running on lately, maybe that is her absolute best surface, but she's pretty good on turf. And she has speed when they elect to use it. I don't know. I thought she was kind of hard to make in this race, but she's far from impossible. And 10-1 does kind of feel like a very fair price to me on that horse. The number 8 is Wild Army Brat, very lightly raced 3-year-old, is going to take on some older horses here. Started her career out on dirt, actually won her career debut sprinting on dirt at Parks last year as a 2-year-old. They just kept her to dirt. She ran fine. Never really ran a fast race on that surface, but she ran fine. She was very competitive on that surface. They switched her over to turf for her most recent start at Delaware. And they also dropped her in class there to a 2-life claimer. And she earned a 72 buyer, career best 72 buyer, winning her turf debut last time. It was against a weaker field. I'm just not sure how I really feel about that race. I mean, she got a really good trip all the way around the track in there. And she just sort of got the job done. If you go back and pull the replay, I didn't pull it up for this video, but you can go back and watch it with your free formulator PPs. She takes over from a long shot on the lead, and then as she's sort of getting away through the stretch, there's a sort of a horse behind her who loses her rider, and it just sort of scatters everybody behind her. I think it really affected some of the horses that were trying to finish behind Wild Army Brad, so maybe she took advantage a little bit last time. I don't know. She's a big price in here if you like her. I wanted other horses. The number 9 Covenant Lady, who we sort of touched on in the Open 2, 2 starts back is the most recent time they sprinted her on the turf, and it was a really good performance. We'll put the replay up for that race right now. This is at Horseshoe, Indianapolis in the middle of September. Turning back out of a stakes race, going 1 mile and a 16th into this 2X condition optional $40,000 tag, and she just runs really well. Now, she did get a really good trip in this race, but she also always looked like she was going to win. You see her come clear at the top of the stretch there, gets out into the clear, and just runs right over the horse on the lead to win this thing going away. She's much the best in this race. I just overall feels to me she's fine going longer. When they go 2 turns with this filly though, or this mare now, it looks like she just wants to be on the lead, but as a sprinter, she's much more comfortable sitting off the pace and making a run. That's what she did last time. That's what I'll expect her to do here. It feels like maybe this race will set up okay for her. I thought she was a pretty dangerous horse based on that effort 2 starts ago. Sprinting, closing out this field, the 10, Tracy Ann's Legacy, 9-2 on the morning line. Another horse who it's not hard to make a case for. She's an 11-time winner. 9 of those wins have come on the turf. She really likes Tampa. 6 starts over the Tampa Bay turf course in her career. 4 wins, 2 seconds. So she's back to Tampa now. The most recent start at Tampa came back in April, going this 5 furlong distance in a starter allowance. And she got a really good trip, keeping up close to the pace, fought for it through the stretch, and just sort of gradually got the job done. It was a really good performance as the favorite, 79 buyer speed figure. This is her turf course. This is her distance. She's just a horse that's easy to make a case for. Maybe post 10 is no bargain for her, but she can get any kind of a trip in a race. 9-2 feels like a pretty fair price. Just another horse in here I feel like you could easily make a case for. And again, the 11 and 12 are also eligibles, and I don't think I'll be interested in either one if they get in here. This is a pretty interesting race, though. I think you can make cases for a lot of different horses. And listen, maybe it will just come down to, at the end of the day, the 5, Soul Hope, will be the favorite. She'll keep her undefeated record on turf intact, and she'll just beat this field. But I don't know. I thought there were different ways to go in here, especially if she really gets bet in this race. We'll see how that all plays out. I wanted somebody else. Before we get the picks up there, remember to subscribe to the DRF YouTube channel for all the latest videos from DRF. Here are the picks for the Wednesday race of the day. I'm going to take a shot against this favorite in this race. I was a little bit torn in this race between the 9 and the 6. I'm going to take the 9 in this race, Covenant Lady. I really liked her win 2 starts back when they turned her back to sprint. They're going to turn her back again here. This filly's run at Tampa before. She didn't win on this turf course, but she's run well on this turf course in the past, so I'm not worried about them shipping her here. I like that win 2 back. Around 7-2 on that morning line seems fair to me. I'm going to take Covenant Lady on top. I went 9, 6, 5, and 4 in your Wednesday race of the day. It is race number 9 at Tampa. The approximate post time is 4:50 Eastern time. Good luck.